Hey ladies, it's Mocha Mommy here bringing you another video, and I am going to show you and give you tips on how to meet and vet men using America's pastime, Major League Baseball. Now, this might be some of the most practical hypergamy, dating, vetting, and femininity advice that you might get all year. The baseball season starts April 1st of 2021. I'm going to give you key strategies and matchups, how you can use it to vet, initiate conversations, and meet people. Now, warning, if you have no interest in sports whatsoever, don't watch this video. But if you're interested on how to gain strategy on how to meet and vet men using America's pastime, stay tuned for this video in its entirety. I'm going to give you guys some great practical hands-on information that can really help you during the 2021 season to meet and vet men. Now, no shade to any femininity or hypergamy gurus, but what I'm going to teach you is how to maneuver in spaces that you might feel more comfortable with, how to initiate conversations and follow along conversations with men who are just as quote unquote high value, but in way more comfortable environments. Now, I get it. Sitting in high-end hotel bars might be a way to meet men. But if you're not the type who wears tight dresses and stilettos, doesn't mean that you can't capitalize off of the dating market. Major League Baseball has one of the most ethnically diverse fan bases between the Japanese precision pitchers, your Latino sluggers, your All-American boy all-stars, your brothers with swag, and also your now rising group of Korean Major League Baseball players. You're going to meet a wide variety of men. I'm going to give you the strategies on how you can do this, what you need to wear, and where you need to go. Listen, there's lots of femininity and hypergamy advice out there, but this, by far, will be the most down-to-earth and practical. Ladies, do you remember when I did my values and value system video? Why do you think it is that baseball players make so much more than football players and basketball players in their same city who are over the age of 30? Why do you think that is? It's because baseball has a wealthier fan base and it generates more money. Therefore, the players make more money. So when I'm talking to you about player salaries and owners, I'm telling you this because you're dealing with a wealthier fan base. I'm going to link the article from The Atlantic that kind of breaks down sports fans by demographics. You would think that the wealthiest sport was actually golf, right? Actually, it's hockey. 1/3 of all hockey fans are six-figure earners. Go figure. The second is Major League Baseball. You would think it'd be golf, wouldn't it? But the reality is, because so many golf fans are 55 and over, they're on fixed incomes. Baseball has a little bit of a younger fan base. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if I'm trying to get you in these spaces so you have these talking points, you're more likely to meet somebody who's middle class. Because it's a middle class sport. NBA fans, over 40%, which is close to half, make less than $40,000 a year. So I can break that sport down. I mean, it's not my favorite sport, but I can break it down. But why? Right? So I'm trying to tell you that this is a tip to just get you initiating conversations with guys who are solidly middle class. Now, one great thing about baseball fans is that at one point in their life, they were baseball players. Whether it be at high school, college, or little league, it usually indicates a few things about their personality. Number one, baseball players tend to have a type C personality. This means that they like routine, schedules, discipline. They value loyalty and team dynamics. You'll notice both in the professional, high school, and college level, a lot of baseball players, even at the highest level, are still with their high school and college sweethearts. You will also notice that it's a family and legacy sport. You'll see a lot of juniors and third in the stands and on the field. Usually you'll see a lot of fathers with children. And as you vet men, you'll find out that it was a dad, a grandfather, an uncle that usually took them to some of their first games. And some of their earliest baseball memories are spent around their family. So you're usually more likely to get a more family-oriented guy. Also, baseball's not a very cheap sport to play, even as a young kid. So a lot of times if a guy played Little League, played high school or college ball, it usually is an indicator that he's middle class or grew up middle class. Some critical vetting strategies that I'm going to teach you in this video is finding and triangulating the type of fans, where they watch, how they watch, their team, and that team's dynasty. These pertinent but benign vetting questions and strategies can really help you date for those of you who are on a hypergamy journey. By knowing where the right sports bars are, where to buy tickets, and how to initiate conversation, and then what those conversations should revolve around are really great ways to meet and vet men. One of the ways you can meet and vet men is at sports bars in really expensive zip codes. How do you initiate conversations and vet? Through the sports team and through that team's dynasty. Listen very carefully and get out a pencil and paper. This is going to be some of the best vetting information that you will ever get on YouTube. First, we're going to start with the Los Angeles Dodgers. They just recently lost their famed Hall of Famer coach, Tommy Lasorda. You might want to ask what a Dodgers fan's favorite Tommy Lasorda memory is. This gives you a clear insight into a man and his past. Key players on the Los Angeles Dodgers are Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts, and Clayton Kershaw. Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts, the highest paid player in baseball, and Clayton Kershaw. You might want to ask, where were you when the Dodgers won the 2020 World Series? What do you think of Mookie Betts and his salary, and do you think he's worth it? How do you feel about the cheating controversy in 2017 and 2018 and how it impacted Clayton Kershaw? These are very benign questions, but they're going to give you pertinent information about what the guy thinks about money, what he thinks about legacy, what he thinks about dynasty, and what he thinks about fairness and justice, just by asking him about this sport. So, if you are a Dodgers fan, you already have ways to vet other potential Dodgers fans. Now, if you want to troll and bring attention to yourself, because remember, attention is a good thing, you're going to want to make sure that you are in the sports bars when they play San Diego Padres. Slam Diego is going to be your biggest rival of the season. Also, player Trevor Bauer. This pitcher is, listen, baseball doesn't have a lot of gossip, but Trevor Bauer generates a lot of it. Follow this guy on Twitter. You're going to want to find out what this guy is tweeting, what this guy's doing, because already you're going to have built-in talking points. Buy his t-shirt and jersey, wear it to the sports bars. And if you really want to troll and draw attention to yourself, get a Fernando Tatis Jr. This right now is a $300 million shortstop who is bringing the slam to Slam Diego. This guy will be the thorn in the Dodgers' sides all season long. Pay attention to this rivalry. Make it a point to check the Major League Baseball schedule, which I will be sure to leave in the description box, and find out when these Dodger versus San Diego matchups are going to be. You will want to be out on these days. These are the days you want to be in the sports bars. Tickets to these events are likely to be expensive, but if you get to the high-end sports bars, they will be packed with men. They will be packed with men, and you will have the advantage by being one of the only few women in the space in the attention-getting t-shirt or jersey. Recommendations, Tatis Jr. and Trevor Bauer. Now, typically, you can't talk baseball without mentioning the New York Yankees. This is a team that has the most dynasties, the most championships, and the most recognized sports franchise in the world. Now, what you want to do for Yankee fans, I'll be honest, these are some of the hardest fans to vet, simply because you don't know if they're a true fan or if they're just somebody jumping on the bandwagon. But one of the things you might want to do is ask Yankee fans about their dynasty, particularly from 1996, and then again 1998, 1999, and 2000, and then again in 2009 when they won the World Series. Typically, anytime your team plays the Yankees, no matter where in the country you are, it's usually going to be a big turnout in both the stadiums and the sports bars. Hey, listen, even if you guys don't get out, the Yankees will always be water cooler talk. So it's a great way to initiate conversation, even the next day, even the next morning in coffee shops, or even around the water cooler in the office. Okay, typically the Yankees' biggest rival is the Boston Red Sox, but this year I think it's going to be someone else. So if you live in Houston, Detroit, Boston, Atlanta, Miami, DC, Tampa Bay, or Oakland, you're going to want to be around to when the Yankees play your home team. Also, around July 4th and around September 11th, the Yankees and the Mets usually get together to play a Subway Series. These are going to be well-attended, nationally televised games that usually are on ESPN, not just your local access sports channels. So you want to make it a point to be out watching these games. Key players on the Yankees are the big money brother in Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge. You might want to ask how they feel about DJ LeMahieu and his contract. Also, players like Gleyber Torres and Aroldis Chapman. Just ask how they feel about DJ's contract. That might give you an idea of how that man that you're vetting feels about fairness in sports when it comes to contracts, okay? Because Judge and LeMahieu signed some pretty controversial contracts this year, and I just want to get an idea. You might want to get an idea of how that guy feels about it, because it'll let you know his sense of justice and how he feels about fairness and equity in pay. Now, this year, I see the Yankees' biggest rival being the Toronto Blue Jays. So if you want to troll a Yankee fan, opening day, get you a Toronto Blue Jays t-shirt or jersey. The players who are the most standout are Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and George Springer. So if you're trying to troll Yankee fans, which is something I often do, I would get a Toronto Blue Jays shirt, because I really think that this is going to be the team in the American League East that's really going to give the Yankees a run for their money for that division title. Now, the Yankees are not the only baseball team in New York. You also have the New York Mets. The team was just recently purchased by billionaire Sandy Cohen, who pumped a lot of money into the team and to the team experience, including the acquisition of the number one shortstop in baseball, Francisco Lindor, number 12. Buy that t-shirt, ladies. Number 12, Francisco Lindor. You also have the best pitcher in baseball in Jacob deGrom. And Noah Syndergaard, aka Thor, he's the thirst trap on the bottom left-hand corner, is now back from injury. You are going to have a competitive National League East squad. The problem is, will you make it past Atlanta? That's the betting question I want you to ask. Will you make it past Atlanta? Their dynasty, 1986 and 2015, when they made the World Series and barely lost by the skin of their teeth. You want to ask, where were you when? You also want to know if you feel this team is going to be the National League East Division Championship. You're going to want to ask, do you think we can make it past the Dodgers or Slam Diego? Padres, right? These are the questions you want to ask, and you want to kind of get a feel for what it is the guy says to you, and listen carefully. These are going to be your pertinent but benign vetting questions. Now, ask me to break down Love and Hip Hop Atlanta or some Atlanta Housewives, I couldn't tell you anything. But ask me about the Atlanta Braves, I can let you know what you need to do. These are the New York Mets' biggest rival. This is the team that almost displaced the Dodgers and made the World Series. Atlanta is a dynasty. Their last championship was 1995, and you're going to want to ask, where were you when? You also want to get the T-shirts of the Atlanta Braves. That will be Nick Markakis, Acuna, and Ozuna. Now, if you want to troll Mets fans, definitely wear an Atlanta Braves T-shirt. If you want to troll also Miami Marlins fans and Philadelphia Phillies fans, wear an Atlanta Brave T-shirt. This is a team that's been knocking all of those other teams out of the playoffs consistently for about the past decade almost. So you really want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on Atlanta. If your team is in Philadelphia, if your team is in the National League, you want to keep an eye on Atlanta. Make it a point to either get tickets or be in your local sports bar when this team is playing. Now, I covered the East Coast, I covered the West Coast, but I did not forget about those of you who are in the Midwest. The biggest Midwestern baseball rivalry will be the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals. This is a long-standing, long-going rivalry that usually generates a lot of tickets. It usually gets national coverage, and you guys want to make sure that you are out and in the sports bars during these key matchups. The Chicago Cubs are a baseball dynasty, one of the oldest teams in Major League Baseball. Do I think that the Chicago Cubs are a contender for the World Series? No. Their last championship was back in 2016. But do I think that Chicago Cubs have one of the best looking rosters? Absolutely. The key T-shirts you might want to get are people like new acquisition, Jock Peterson, Jason Adams, Italian Stallion Anthony Rizzo, David Bote, Hayward, and even their manager, Ross. He got some daddy energy, y'all. Ladies, how do you say thirst trap in Spanish? Javier Baez, Chicago Cubs shortstop. This is one of the best players in the game and also pretty fun to follow on Instagram. Chicago Cubs, a little bit like the Yankees, where if they're playing your team, you may want to make it a point to be at that stadium or in the sports bars that day. So especially places like Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, I think they're scheduled to play Atlanta, the Mets, Cincinnati, Dodgers, Cleveland Indians, Detroit Tigers, Washington Nationals. You guys really want to make it a point to be out there. They also have a matchup against San Diego and the San Francisco Giants. So you just want to make it a point to be out whenever Chicago is playing. St. Louis, don't forget about your new acquisition, third baseman, Nolan Arenado. $189 million well spent. The St. Louis Cardinals had World Series championships back in 2011 and 2006. You may want to ask, where were you when? Also, when it comes to St. Louis Cardinals fans, your catcher, Yadier Molina, is basically Puerto Rican baseball royalty. His two brothers are also World Series champions, and his dad is the head coach for the Puerto Rican national team and has been for about over 2 decades. My spouse actually played with his older brother, Benji. So you may want to get one of his t-shirts or jerseys. This may possibly be his last year and he may be retiring. So if you hear that Yadier Molina, catcher for the St. Louis Cardinals, is going to retire, you may want to make that game or be in the sports bars or out that evening. He is a legend, and this is going to be a historic moment. He is definitely a Hall of Famer in the making, and you definitely want to be there for that. Now, typically when buying tickets to Major League Baseball games, you have a lot of options and a lot of variety. Major League Baseball has anywhere between 160 to 185 games per season. So there's lots of opportunities to make it to the stadium. And because there are so many opportunities, the tickets tend to be more affordable than any other professional sport. Now, the most popular place to sit is the area where people can catch foul balls. Also, you may want to look for second tier seating, maybe like specialty areas like the Jim Beam All-Star deck, the Honda deck, that second level seating right above the floor. Usually those tickets are between $50 and $100 a pop, but you're sitting around a pretty high caliber of man. Also, StubHub really rewards you buying those tickets and gives you a lot of feedback on concessions. You want to make sure that when you're watching baseball, and unlike a lot of other sports, that you're engaging with the fans around you. It's a sport where the pace really does cater to conversation, and people love talking to other baseball fans. This is why I'm giving you guys key matchup, World Series dates, key players. It really doesn't matter what stadium, even if you're in a stadium of a team that is usually pretty bad. Pittsburgh Pirates. The Phillies, you guys have a good squad, but have just been pretty unfortunate. I don't really know what's going on. You guys got the best catcher in the game in JT Realmuto. I really don't know what's going on with you guys. If you find out, let me know. Baltimore Orioles, again, beautiful stadium, but fans are kind of struggle. White Sox have been on the come up, but still the tickets are still pretty affordable. I'm trying to think of other teams that are not that great. Cincinnati Reds. I don't see Tampa Bay being good this year, even though they made the World Series. Milwaukee. Oh God, you guys are contenders. Milwaukee. But just anyway, whatever. Washington Nationals. You guys are a sad story as well. Even despite winning a World Series pretty recently. But just make it out to a game, have a good time, talk to other fans. You're going to find that you're going to meet some great people and just have a really nice time. Listen, if you guys can be in these unproductive live chats for Manosphere or these Man-Dragon channels, you guys can be in the chats for your respective Major League Baseball team. The algorithm shows that these chats are 90% male. Get into these chats. Ask key questions. Ask about who their favorite players are. A lot of these chats are sometimes going to be scheduling meetups as the economy opens up, and it's going to give you a lot of key information. You want to put a pretty feminine avatar, and you just want to make sure that you're engaging, listening, finding out key points. Please get in these chats. And sometimes they even have Discord groups. One of the things I like to do in my sports Discord group is have people send me pictures of their gear and memorabilia. you will be surprised how many thousands of dollars people collect in baseball gear, autographed baseball bats, baseball cards, throwback jerseys. Ladies, if you are trying to be hypergamous, I think that you may want to look into baseball. You know, the saddest thing is that some of you ladies have spent a lot of time in these manosphere spaces, right? Guys who don't know the difference between quantitative and qualitative statistical analysis. You know, for all that's holy and sacred in 10th grade math, I'm going to need for these guys to stop quoting statistics. You got Benjamin Banneker turning in his grave. Why don't you guys get into the chats of the baseball team in your city or neighboring city? Right? Get with guys who can calculate ERAs. You know, get with guys who know on-base percentages and what that actually means for players. Right? Start chatting with dudes who actually know math. How about that? Some of my favorite places to get gear are MLB Pro Shop as well as Fanatics. They always have discount codes and reward loyalty for customers. You could always find your local team in a nearby sporting goods store, but if you really want to draw attention to yourself, you want to get a rival team's t-shirt or jersey and show up in that t-shirt or jersey. Okay, so for instance, if the Yankees are playing the Red Sox and you live in New York, don't be afraid to wear that Red Sox t-shirt and generate some attention. If you are playing, if you're in Texas, right, and you're playing the A's, the Angels, those are some teams that usually have some good rivalries. Of course, a lot of the rivalries I had shown you in the video, but ladies, make sure you're writing this down. Pay close attention because this is some of the best vetting and hypergamy advice you might get learning how to talk to men about their sports dynasty, their team, their memories associated with it. You can get a lot of information about a guy's past without being too prying or intrusive. By wearing those sports jerseys of rival teams to your local sports bar, you're more likely to get a lot of attention generated to you. So, and also the ratio favors you. Just get out there. You're going to see this can really work. Major League Baseball has a diverse and fun, family-friendly fan base. Don't be afraid to get out there. It's a ratio that favors you, and it's a great way to make friends and meet people. Now that you have key icebreakers and talking points, come April 1st on opening day, play ball. This is Mocha Mommy, and I'll see you in the next one.